the enemy doesn't have the ability to exert influence where there is no gate for him to enter through.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, a lot of times, they just jump to assignment. So they completely forget, before you do, you have to become, right? We're shaking hands with President of Kenya,
Wow.
speaking with him, or in rooms with him. Like, it was just crazy. You just start with having a character to even approach the people who are in the rooms. Prayer is a design tool.
Yeah.
First, it designs you, and then it designs your environment. It designs your reality.
Yeah. Yo guys, it's Habib Yusuf and I'm back with a brand new series. And as you may know by the title, the name of the series is Christ at Work. One thing I believe is that with the revival that God is bringing, we're not just going to begin to see the manifestation of it in churches, in our gatherings. We're going to see it outside. We're going to see it in the marketplace. We're going to see it in businesses. Because why? The Bible says that where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am. Doesn't say it has to be in a specific church building. The revival that Jesus Christ is going to bring is going to spread like wildfire. But we have to come out of the mentality of just doing it within the walls of the church. That's where I got the idea for Christ at Work. And so guys, today, my first guest, very first guest up to the plate, guys. Very, very special guy. You know, I've only spoken with him a couple of times, but just from speaking with him, I can see that there's a depth of wisdom there. And that's why I invited him on to come and speak to you guys. And by God's grace, inspire you guys into doing greater things, into having more confidence, into working like God has set you to do. So I want to introduce my first guest, Emmanuel.
My brother. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Love having you, bro. I'm glad to have you. Really glad to have you.
Yeah, man. I'm just gassed to be here. Honestly, like to be invited is a huge blessing. Yeah, from the time that I met you, I told Habib I was gonna gas him before the talk. So I'm about to gas this guy. From the time that I met you, bro. One thing about Habib, if you haven't met him already, he's very charismatic. Like you can tell. There's a few people that you can tell. Like God is like, you're gonna be a vessel or you're gonna be an instrument. And I think Habib is one of those people. So, bro, like love what you're doing, how you're spreading it, how you're reaching people as well.
Appreciate you, bro.
This show, like, bro, it's brilliant, bro. So, thank you.
Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you. Introduce yourself to the people, bro. Tell them who you are. Tell them what you do.
Okay. So my name is Emmanuel. I am from Ghana, proud Ghana boy. I grew up in Ghana. I was born here, but I grew up in Ghana. I moved, to London when I was 16, and then I went to, school, uni, and the rest. Right now I'm an international civil servant. So I work at the Commonwealth Secretariat. And with that, I've got, creative stuff on the side, which depending on who's watching, I haven't dipped into in a while.
Okay.
But, it's still, it's still pulsing. It's still very much there. So, just blessed and highly favored. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. So
definitely Christian. I could never miss that.
Of course. We ain't going to leave that one out. We ain't going to leave nothing. So, of course, with that, you said you're an international civil servant. So can you just go into that and break that down a little bit for people so that people can get a greater understanding of what it is exactly that you would be doing on a day-to-day basis?
Right, okay. So I'll take it from the angle of me being at the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth is like the UN, but smaller. So we've got 56 countries, but obviously the UN basically has everyone, right?
Yeah.
What we do is we serve these countries. Now, how you serve these countries is usually you serve them through meetings, information, doing projects, training, education, that sort of thing. So you got multiple departments in the Commonwealth itself, all just looking to serve the country. So when someone tells you they're a civil servant, really what they're doing is they're acting as a tool in civil society to bring about, whether it's to promote democracy or just human rights, just the needs of people, and try and actually produce development.
I like that. I like that. That's really cool. And just for those of you that don't know, the Commonwealth, correct me if I'm wrong, the Commonwealth is every nation that's been colonized by Britain. Not every, but a lot of it comprises that.
So it used to be, so basically this is one of the problems with working with stuff in this day and age. It's very much, it's what it's tied to before. I think this is like a lesson that people in general need to know as well. Like when you do something right now, you're actually affecting a lot of people that are coming after you.
Wow.
So I'm working at Commonwealth, right? And we're doing so much work to develop things across Asia, Africa, Europe as well, the Pacific, literally everywhere.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you hear the word Commonwealth, you think of who? Like the king or something.
Yeah.
Royalty, right? So it's kind of like, okay, these guys are colonized or these guys are just British, these guys, but you don't realize how much goes into innovation, how much goes into like policy development, like how much goes into actually solving deep problems that some people based in, whether it's Accra, Nairobi, Sri Lanka, wherever, like how much like we're actually helping solve these issues. So yeah.
That's really interesting. And so let me ask you just how you got into that. What was your journey in terms of finding this career?
It's God. Okay, so let me lay it down, like the background a little bit. So I believe in giving honor to the people that have paved the way before you. I am by no means like just achieved anything that I have like by myself. It's looking like I've achieved a lot, but it's just, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even like being here, like I'm walking in like my dad's shoes a lot.
Wow.
And my mom's shoes as well. They've both been super inspirational, like just in giving advice of what to do and where to go.
Yeah.
So I studied politics in uni. And then I studied international public policy in my postgrad as well.
Okay.
Same time, you know, I'd make music, film as well. So coming out to uni is the type of thing where it's like, if you don't blow in music and stuff, the pressure is...
Yeah.
You already know. Everybody trying to blow in music, you know
Yeah.
the pressure. So the pressure is wild. The pressure's been a lot. And I think the pressure was a lot. And silly me, I didn't, like, what's the word? You know how everyone tries to, they prep in like second year, going into third year. So they get their placements, they get their consultancies, they get their contracts, all that kind of stuff. I had none of that, bro.
Wow.
So for me, it was, I wasn't sure where to go or what to do. I remember I go do my master's, and of course, everyone wants to go work at the UN. It's just what it is, right? And one of the things they said, and I'm not even going to say where I did my master's, so you feel away. But one of the things they said was, chances of getting the UN are very small. You probably won't, but this is how you do it. So they made sure they empowered you, but they made sure to have a realistic view of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Finished uni, finished my master's. I did my national service in Ghana, came back here, and then did my master's. So I didn't really have anything lined up. Bro, 2 weeks out of doing my master's, God bless me, no joke, with this position that, yeah, at the Commonwealth.
Wow.
Bro, like, it was crazy. It was the type of thing where, like, I wasn't looking for it. I remember because my mom sent me the ad for the job. I remember thinking, like, what am I going to do this job for?
Yeah.
It wasn't really my background and stuff either, but I just did it. It went so quick.
Yeah.
Like, from test to interview to you got in it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this definitely isn't me.
Yeah.
Bro, nothing I've done has been that quick. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is not me. So then, yeah, the job starts, and a few months after starting the job, you kind of realize why you're there, if you know what I'm saying. Or you realize what God is doing. So one thing I will say is, during my master's, so the master's program was like a year long, right? During that time, I was just going to God saying, God, I need to be positioned. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to ask for. I just need your hand to please position me. You know my interests, you know my heart, you know what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
All these different kind of things. Like, you know what, I guess what the skills are as well, what my limitations are. So in your mercy, please position me. Let me go to a place where, I could just kind of grow in whatever it is you have me do.
Yeah.
And it was a consistent prayer. It was a prayer out of desperation as well, because, like, the time's coming up, right?
I get you.
Bro, he answered it. He answered it, like, in the most extraordinary way. And I remember starting, and I was like, what am I actually even doing here? So the role I do is I'm an events and protocol assistant. And that role is more like events management and, like, convening the actual meetings, whether, like, the ministers and stuff come to. And there's a lot in the background as well. And I remember just thinking, like, this is not my background. I don't have much experience here. And, like, what am I going to do, really? 6 months in, bro, we go to, like, Buckingham Palace.
Wow.
And you start meeting all these, like, ministers. I mean, the royalty as well. I know this doesn't help because I was like, Commonwealth isn't associated with them, but obviously it is. And yeah, we end up going there, and then you see all these ministers from, bro, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, like, just different places. And you're like, you take a second, you step back, and you're like, yo, I'm in the room with these people right now.
Yeah.
Like, people go crazy to try and be in rooms like this.
Absolutely.
And I'm just there. And I was like, God, I'm so sorry for all the complaining. Whatever you want to do, I'm with it.
Yeah.
Forget me, forget my preferences.
I really like that. Especially the part at the end where you said, like, listen,
bro,
I'm with it.
I had to be real. I said, God, forget anything that I said where I was like, I don't want to be here, I want to do something else. Like, how silly can you be? You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of times, like, you don't see what's happening or, like, what God is doing. But when he says, like, he has plans for you to give you a hope in the future, he's not joking.
Yeah.
Like, he literally means he's taking you up, 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 up.
Yeah.
If you let it.
If you let him.
Yeah.
If you let him. I like that. Yeah. And so, even just with that, right, one thing, and this is like, the main focus of why I wanted us to have this conversation, right, is, of course, it took you some time to find that why.
Right.
Why God put you there.
Right.
And so, are you able to delve deeper into the why and how you feel like God has called you to influence that space?
Yeah. It's a simple question, but it has so many parts to it,
Of course.
So when I got in, I feel like when God calls you to himself and, just lifts off the veil, but you see how, like, lost people really are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You see how people fight for themselves, how people, like, prioritize. In the last days, people be lovers of themselves.
Yeah.
Bro, it's so real. And, like, the politics world, the corporate world, like, all of these worlds is like, you really see it. I feel like when I got there, he just made that very clear. So it was one of the things where, like, from day one, you see people being selfish or greedy in whatever capacity, just trying to get themselves ahead of whoever else. And then you're like, but it doesn't have to be this way. You literally all can rise at the same time. Even if it's not the same time, everyone can pull everybody up. And it's the type of thing where it's not about being tribal, but sometimes when you're in a company or an organization, you need to like look at it like, okay, this is us versus whoever else is trying to prevent the development we're trying to bring. When you don't look at it that way, you look at your colleagues as the enemies, and you just want to be right to the top. So it's you get really siloed. You start having arguments about useless things. Like, bro, I remember this one time we had to work on an event. Now, bear in mind, this event is something that's going to like big up the whole organization, right?
Yeah.
So obviously I'm leaving details out because I don't know who's going to watch it.
Yeah, we don't want no foul.
It was bigging up the whole organization. It was something new, something fresh.
Yeah.
So you think everybody be on it.
Yeah.
Tell me why, before we've even had our first meeting, people are already backstabbing other people.
Wow.
Trying to keep people at the meeting. Some people come into the meeting. Like, it's very
every man for themselves type of.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, come on, like the colleagues, everybody's lovely. But I'm just saying this is a general thing across like the corporate world where people just backstab for no reason, really. God showed me what the reality of it was. Because you always hear about it and you always like you know it, but you don't see it. And I saw it like properly and I was like, wow, okay. So then I'm there. I can see moments where God says, we're the lights of the world. We're salt as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I see moments where I can kind of season the conversation, and I see moments where I can be just the lights as well. Right now, I have someone in the office calling me Apostle. She doesn't call me my name anymore. She calls me Apostle. Wow. And the reason why she does that is because, like, I won't even lie. After a few months, I just saw many things. I was like, I'm literally going to talk about God every day. I don't care anymore. Like, whether or not people are like, oh, this guy talks about God so much. I'm like, every single day you're about to hear at least one day. Yeah. And we're going to, like, take it there. And you know the ones where you try to bait people into debates as well? Not debates, but, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I get you.
Conversations. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to speak about this in a very unashamed way.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I think God showed the issue. He showed who, like, I am in the situation, empowered, and then you just kind of do. So, yeah, but there's a huge testimony about the work, though.
You should say it, bro. You should say it.
Yeah?
People need these kind of things, because, let me say, a lot of Christians just see work as, oh, I'm just here to get money.
Right.
I'm just here to get money. My faith is completely separated from my work. But like you're speaking about right now, your faith has to be tied into every single thing that you do. And so at first, you went into this job, you didn't see the purpose of that. But now you see that, okay, I'm here because I'm bringing light, I'm bringing salt to this environment, bro.
Right.
So people need to see this so they can hear this testimony and go run with that same vision in their places of work.
I get you. Father, forgive me for even trying to hide. Okay, one thing I'll say before the testimony. There's this like model that I feel like God revealed in the last few months.
Yeah.
So I call it the person vehicle assignment model. But basically what it is we're people, right? So you have your person and then you have your assignment. And you need your vehicles to get to that assignment.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, a lot of times, like when they're mind mapping their lives or trying to see what they're going to do or how they're going to do it, they just jump to assignment. So they completely forget before you do, you have to become, right? You have to be the person that can actually do.
Yeah.
So one of the assignments is to disciple nations. One of the things God made clear was you don't have to go looking for your identity or your assignment or what you need to do. A lot of it he's told you. You just have to read it.
That's deep.
People be like, yo, I'm going into wherever to like find this or do this. But it's like, Charlie, you just have to read it.
Yeah.
So, obviously you go through the process of like justification, right? So you get saved, you accept Jesus in your heart. And once you're that, the old self has passed, you're a new creation.
Yeah.
So God is telling you, okay, you're new. And then he's telling you, it's no longer you who lives, but Christ who lives in you.
Yes.
Okay, so now you know your fabric, you know your material, you know your cloth. And he goes on to tell you you're a royal, priesthood, a holy nation. So you know you're set apart. You also know your royalty. So now it's a lot easier to walk in rooms where people are miles ahead of you in life, but you have this understanding of who you are.
Exactly.
Where did you get this understanding from? The word.
Yeah.
You don't have to go try out 50 different jobs to get this understanding. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? So you get this understanding, and then one of the assignments before I give the testimony is, okay, to go out disciple nations, right? There's this amazing book. It's called Ecclesia by Ed Silvoso. But basically, he talks about how the ecclesia, so ecclesia means, at least in this modern times, we call it, it means church. Really, he says we've lost its meaning. It's not supposed to be a building where people just come to, like they just come to church.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of like the government of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like you go into the homes, you go into the business places, you go into the schools, you go everywhere and be what? Light and salt. And influence everything, like leaven, right? It's like if you know your assignments to disciple nations, you know the type of person you are.
Yeah.
You can then focus on, okay, how do we fine-tune the vehicle to make sure we can actually complete that assignment?
Wow.
So that's the person vehicle assignment model. Now, the reason why I said it or brought it up is because, like, it helps when you know why you're in a place to do what you know you're supposed to do. So basically, you know, there were work difficulties, and to the point where it could have been like, okay, this guy's out of here. And I remember I was like, bro, this is like my first job, and I'm about to lose it in a few months. This is one of them ones you can't even go home and you ask you, hey, so how was work? Okay, you get a call from your dad who's in gang. Hey, how's work going? Yeah, it's all right. Meanwhile, it's like, bro, I'm trying to like hide from work. So I was like, okay, you know what, God, I really need you to fight for me. Like there were points, like I remember there was this 1 week I was going to work, and I'm trying to leave out details just because I don't know who's listening. But I remember this 1 week I was walking to work, and bro, my legs were like jelly. Like I was like, yo, I'm walking to this place and I don't know what is about to happen. This was like consistent for like a number of days. I was like, I don't know what's about to happen with my future or whatever. And this is not because of anyone at work's particular fault. It has to do with a lot of reasons. I'm not going to go into the reasons for obvious reasons. It was just that type of thing where it's like, okay, we're going in. I don't know what's going to happen. It's like that for 2 weeks every day, because that's the other thing. If you don't do well, it makes it harder to get to the next place. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I need you to fight for me. And I remember I used to play Tim Keller's podcast. Now, bear in mind, the walk is like 7 minutes from the station. So I start on the train, lose connection, that kind of thing, right? So I'm just getting bits here and there. Then I start thinking, okay, this is probably my last day, so I'm now upset. You're sad for like 15 minutes. Like, it's like, bro, like too many things going on. Hey, you have to put a brave face on and everything, right? People be looking at you like, yo, you good? You're like, Charlie, I'm cool. Hard boys. Meanwhile, you're crying inside. Inside, like, yo, you're like jelly. The reason that I was gonna like get fired or whatever, the reason ends up being removed from the organization. Wow. Right? Notice I say reason.
Yeah, but I know what that, 2 + 2 = 4.
Right. Okay. And no, let me not say removed, but left the organization, right? So the reason left, still talking about reason here. This was one of the reasons, by the way. This wasn't the full reason. Because, of course, I have to hold accountability as well. There were places I could have done better. The other reason that was basically coming at me ends up being my ally for me to go on this thing that we call missions. Right? So it was like you go on a mission to countries to do the work there, to like, do the projects and stuff. So we go on mission. This reason is my ally for me to go for this mission. Wow. And it's the first ever like solo mission, like someone in my role does. Because I'm an assistant, you have to like bear this in mind. Like we're not, it depends on how you use the role, but you're really in the background. Like in the background, right? And this is politics as well, or policy. They don't trust you unless you can show you have a certain number of years.
Of course.
Or like, accolades or whatever. So this reason becomes my ally for me to go on this first solo mission. Bro, this first solo mission was insane. We get to the point where we're shaking hands with President of Kenya. We're speaking with him, we're in rooms with him. Like, it was just crazy. And I was like, 5 months before this, I didn't even know if I was going to be here. And then literally in 5 months, God took care of 2 reasons, used one of them for my favor. And now I'm doing something that no one else has done. In my role. And I was like, literally nobody can tell me this is because, I've got a master's. Or, I did something. It's like, no, bro. Can't plan some of these things.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I know I withheld like a lot of details, but I hope that
No. It makes sense. Don't worry. And we get why you have to leave out the details. That's beautiful, though. That acceleration.
Bro, it was crazy. It was next level. It was the type of thing where like you go home, I was saying like you got a call from your parents like, how are things going? And you don't want to say. Now you can't stop speaking. You talk for like 3 hours. Give it every little detail. That's been my experience, bro.
That's beautiful. And it's beautiful. And you know what really inspires me just even off that is that where it takes people years to get is where God accelerated you to in 5 months. It's crazy to think about things like that. Sorry, not only that, but the fact that, you're walking into work thinking like, it's over.
Bro.
And then the reasons, let's say, just gone.
Bro,
it's beautiful.
Gone. Like smoke, almost like smoke.
God is good, man.
Yeah. Testimonies are great. I'll never shy away from them. It's even a way of holding God accountable. It's like saying, God, look what you've done. I've told everybody, you got to do it again.
Exactly.
So it's like, sometimes when God is so faithful, you have no excuse to not be excellent in a certain way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's very tough because being excellent is tough.
It is.
And I'll tell you the maddest thing God showed me. So we went on mission to DC. I remember like stuff was happening and I told God, okay, God, I'm going to be excellent in this way. I'm going to make sure I don't do this. I'm going to make sure I'm like focused. I'm not messing around. Like you have to understand, you travel to cities by yourself.
Yeah.
You're placed in a hotel. If you can manage your time properly, when you're done with work, there's a whole city for you to just, and you have backing, right? Because you're like, okay, last, you can call up London and be like, yo, I work with these people.
Yeah.
So you have a certain type of security that isn't always there.
Yeah.
Now, what comes with that is the temptation.
Yeah.
This is why the prayer, lead us not into temptation, is really saying, like, let us not fall when temptation comes.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, that prayer is powerful because it's literally telling God, you've blessed me. I'm not trying to mess this up. Spirit is willing, flesh is weak. I'm probably going to mess this up. But here I was thinking, a little bit because of pressure, but also just because of, like, I guess my thinking. I was like, God, this time I'm not going to mess up in any way. I'm going to be excellent. I'm going to do all of this. Bro, 2 days in, I messed up.
Shit.
I'm not even going to say what the mess up was, but like 2 days in. 2 days. It didn't even reach 3 days. 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days is crazy. And I remember I go back to my room, like at the time. It wasn't even like funny because like it was like a mess up, right?
Yeah.
But I was just like, God, like, what's wrong with me? And he gave me the scripture. It was Zechariah 4:6. Not by might, not by power, but by his spirit alone that you will succeed.
Yeah.
He's not joking when he says that. Literally, it's not you. Like, it's not you. There have been days where I've been off, the worst version of myself. Those days, somebody will come tell me, oh, thank you so much. You're really helpful in this way. Like, how? I didn't even do anything. Really.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's because it's not you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to ask you about the warfare aspect to some of these things that you face, because of course you're working with nations on a daily basis. When working with nations, I'm not trying to say too much, but I'm not trying to say too little. I'll say it like this. There is, of course, an aspect of spiritual warfare when it comes to these things that happen, which is, of course, part of the reason that I believe you're there. And I'm sure, of course, that you're privy to that.
Yes,
and so talk to us about the warfare that you see and how you maybe engage the God side of the warfare in that.
Wow, that's a really good question because, again, there's so many layers to it. Okay, here's the thing I feel about warfare that people don't appreciate. I remember once, I can't remember who said it, but basically the enemy doesn't have the ability to exert influence where there is no gate for him to enter through.
Say that again, please. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
Where there's no gate, so where there's no, like, it could be a legal reason, right? So you've sinned in this way, you've done this, you've lied here, whatever it is, if it's not open, he can't actually go through.
Yeah.
He doesn't have dominion. This is why they call him, I don't remember what the word is, but it's like he's a prince, he's not a king. He doesn't have dominion over the places.
Yes.
He just has the places, right? Or he can see where the places are, but he doesn't rule over them because he's not a king. So it's the type of thing where I don't think we appreciate how much character influences policies that nations have. So let me give you an example. I'm a protocol assistant, right? So I'm one of the first people that ministers or whoever would see when they're coming into a meeting.
Yeah.
If for some reason my character's off and I'm in any way rude, disrespectful, prideful even, it would rub off on whoever's going into the meeting to make a decision.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying 3 seconds of being rude is enough to switch a minister's mindset, but you have to understand there's so many things going on and coming through to a minister's ears. You got different senior officials that you got to look after. You're thinking about your own politics back home. Like, am I going to be reelected? You think about a million things.
Wow, yeah.
You don't know which voice is whispering, choose this instead of this.
Yeah.
And how it'll affect the overall consensus.
Yeah.
It's the type of thing where it's based on consensus. Decisions are made when everyone agrees. As soon as one person says no, it's a wrap. And you got to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Anyone can say no, bro. There's 56 people at the table. So a lot of times, like, people are like, okay, we got to get into government. We got to get into the right rooms. If I was in the right room, I'll be at the table. If I was at the table, I'll lead discussions. I'll talk about this. Relax. You just start with having a character to even approach the people who are in the rooms, or
That's
to
deep.
even listen to the problems that people outside the rooms have, so you can give it to people in the rooms. So it's like the warfare level, bro, is multi-layered, bro. So I remember this one time, we were in Geneva. We went for one of the ministers' meetings. And I remember there was a lady who, she started feeling sick randomly, bro, like out the blue, bro. And I remember because I saw her throughout the day, right? So when you're a protocol assistant, you kind of hand out badges, you show people to where they need to go, you answer pressing questions.
Yeah.
You kind of be like a liaison officer for countries. So it's helpful because then your phone book gets crazy. Your contact list goes mad. But then you're still doing very very in the background operational work and not actually doing a lot of technical work.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was like, I kind of want to do technical. I don't really like this aspect kind of thing. But then you realize why the operational stuff is so important. Because when it comes down to it, decisions are made in a certain time frame. Now, if the person who's making that decision or who's influencing that decision per country is not in the right state of mind or is opening gates, guess who's going to try influence that? You see? So it's like, I remember there was this one lady, she suddenly got sick. She was like freezing, like properly shaking. And she was like, oh, she's just cold. And I was like, I'll be real with you. Everybody here is cold, but you're shaking like this. And I was like, no, there's something off. So I put it to the side. So she was walking and I just felt Holy Spirit was like, yo, pray. Like, pray for her. So I put it to the side. I'm like, do you mind if I pray for you real quick? First, I'll say you person of faith. Are you comfortable? All of that kind of stuff. And I said a prayer with her. She goes back in. I don't know how the shaking, everything has just stopped. Suddenly, she's like laser focused. She's number 2 to the minister. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, this lady she couldn't even sit still for like 30 minutes, she kept coming out. Now she's sat down for like 2 hours. And the discussions, like if you just look over across the table, you see, okay, someone's leaning in, speaking in this person's ear. Someone's going backwards, speaking in this person's ear. These two are speaking. You don't know what's being said.
Yeah.
So when someone can actually focus and be direct and be
Present,
they're going to say something a lot better because ministers need it. They deal with too much. So now you're dealing with 56 countries, right? Each country has its own type of system back home. Now, just like the UK, for example, people that make up the system can be very twisted, very selfish, very lovers of self, right?
Yeah.
Very corrupt, all of these different things. On top of that, you're in a time crunch where you know you're in a country for a few days.
Yeah.
On top of that, you have instructions from capital. So ministers are really the ones that their warfare is next level, bro. Because it's like, if you're a minister who loves Jesus, who is trying to see genuine change, you have 5 different sections to fight on a physical level, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're engaging spiritually, you've built your altar, you're praying nonstop, everything. You now have to physically and soul-wise deal with all these different levels of people. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's very
The battle's just not one way, it's 2 ways.
bro,
Yeah.
it's so multi-layered. So this is what God revealed. The generals in the faith, the Apostle Toby's, the Apostle Salman's, Apostle Rome, a lot of them are very much like, we're supposed to go from glory to glory.
Yeah.
Whatever sacrifices they made, we're supposed to latch on and run, and double up.
Come on. Yeah.
It's like the silver spoon thing, right? It's like a lot of people who have like wealthy parents, they always want to go or do away with what their parents did. And I want to do my own thing. Like, it's not my parents, whatever. I just want to make it.
Yeah.
But it's like, no. Bro, if your dad made 1 mil, senior, Charlie, I beg, bring
Please.
the 10 mil.
Please.
Just double up.
Please. Yeah.
10 exit. Don't now go and say you want to start your own thing only to reach 1 mil. And then something happens and you can't even continue working.
Yeah.
It's like, no, double up on what is there.
Come on.
And you can still do your stuff on the side as well. I'm not saying like, don't do it. But it's just like, be a little bit smarter about it, I feel. So it's the same thing, right? We double up on what they've sacrificed and made available to us.
Yeah.
I feel like for this generation, like one of the things we're coming into understanding of is altars, right? And just like
of course,
altars.
yeah.
I don't think it was topic of discussion even 5 years ago.
At all.
And when I say topic of discussion, I mean like mainstream. When you have the understanding that, okay, there's a certain level of power I can walk into these situations with because I've done this, it makes it easier for God to say, okay, now that you have that, do this as well and add it.
Yeah.
Now you've doubled up. So it's like the warfare, any chance you get, please pray with whoever you can pray.
Yeah.
Have a regimented routine. You can't even work in these places without a routine because it's so...
You won't make it. You just won't even make
Bro,
it. Yeah.
and there's always last minute stuff as well. You're talking to someone who is like late often. This is something that please pray for me if you're watching this. I need help with being this. But it's like, you just need a routine. And if you have a routine that's regimented prayer life, one of my guys, he always talks about, he wants to increase his prayer life, his regiments, like add more times in the day, add more slots.
Yeah.
Bro, do you know what you're doing spiritually? Prayer is a design tool.
Yeah.
First, it designs you, and then it designs your environment. It designs your reality.
Yeah.
Craziest design tool there is. And I remember sitting in a service once, and the person was talking about how prayer is like, you got to use exousia, right? So the authority.
Yeah.
So use the word of God and the authority that comes with it, because activity follows his word.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you release the authority, and then you charge it up with power. So
Yeah.
it's dunamis.
Yeah.
Right? What's the charge it up with parameters is consistent prayer, praying without ceasing. It's literally every time of this day we do this. We go into this topic with God. We find out from God what are we supposed to do, how are we supposed to change. And you just keep it going. You charge up the authority. Next thing you know, you go somewhere, everything is different. And I've seen it happen so many times in different countries where stuff is supposed to flop, fail. Somehow, everything gets sorted out.
Wow.
So, yeah, man, it's just very, the warfare is a lot, it's multi-layered. But we have tools that we can engage. Building altars is definitely one of them. Working on your soul as well. I feel like your soul is like, it's the medium from taking like spiritual like realities into physical realities. Right? So it's like God has already written stuff out.
Yeah.
You just have to have the capacity to actually bring it about.
Yeah. I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people don't work on that. So it's like Jesus and therapy. Some people like therapy. Waiting to be therapy. I get friends. It's like, yo, true, fair enough. But as long as you're in community, getting sanctified, getting discipled, that kind of thing, you're sharpening yourself to bring a spiritual reality that's already there, written before the foundations of the world.
Yeah.
Physically, to the physical realm.
Yeah. I really love that. What you said is so deep because even with that, like I've experienced so many things in the same way where like I'm at work and maybe there's say someone who is just acting a certain way, disrupting operations completely. Go home and pray that day the person is completely transformed.
Bro.
Situations transform with prayer.
Yeah.
And I feel like as Christians at times, what we do is we pick and choose when prayer works.
Right.
You know?
This guy's talking to me right now. That's crazy. What?
But we pick and choose when prayer works. It's, for example, you know, when things aren't working my way, that's when prayer works. When things aren't going in the direction that I wanted to go, that's when I'm going to pray. But we also forget, that with prayer is not just for us to change our reality. My prayer life, your prayer life, our prayer life shouldn't be centered around just, how Emmanuel's going to eat today, how he's going to drink today, how Habib's going to get to work today. Our prayer lives are bigger than us. Our prayer lives are to influence these organizations and these spaces that we're in. And that's what I love so much about what you said when you pray for that minister, because you were built up to the point where you're okay. So then you can now use your prayer to make somebody else okay.
Right.
And that's just what I love so much about this conversation that we've had so far, that everything ties in, that your faith is bigger than you.
Oh, yeah.
And you step into work every day knowing that your faith transcends you.
You know something that blew my mind recently? Someone explained the plan for salvation was written before the foundations of the world.
It's crazy.
Do you know what that means? Like, I feel like people aren't deep in that. As in God's heart and his mind, he knew Jesus was going to happen, like in the way he's happened.
Yeah.
Before anything existed. It is, when you deep it, it's a better option that salvation happens. The reason why it's a better option. With Adam, he's an extension, right? He's an image bearer.
Of course.
But he wasn't in the sovereign kingdom. He was here to glorify by being excellent, by being, all the things. He was a worker, cultivator, everything, right? So Adam and Eve. And, the fall happened, everything happened. But what we have the opportunity now, and what has happened, is we've been taken from darkness into the sovereign kingdom.
Yeah.
We're now in Christ, in the sovereign kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's like, whereas before we were an extension, now it's like we're inside.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah.
You ask yourself, why did God have in his heart and his mind this whole thing of salvation? Well, it's literally because, one, free will, a gift, right? And he needs a solution to free will. But also because it's actually the better option than an innocent world. If the world was innocent versus you have to be saved, trained how to reign, and now you reign from a sovereign place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, bro, which one are you?
Come on.
Like, what are you going to prefer?
Yeah.
That being said, it's not easy actually.
It's not. But another reason why I personally believe that the way of Jesus is better, you see, before Adam sinned, the whole responsibility lied on us. Right. And so everything that man would do from that point would be like, God, you didn't build this. I built this.
Right.
And so, when you come from that perspective of I built it, right?
Right.
It's almost like man and God are equals at that point, because it's like, yes, you put me here, but I'm the one that set this here. Right. I'm the one that did this. You have that, what's the word? You have that...
Just that pride kind of creep.
Pride, perfect. You have that pride to go and say, no, but I did this. And so it's almost like in the way that we, man, destroyed everything that God built.
Right.
It's not like, okay, we need you to come and save it. So in the way that Jesus saved, we have no... And that's the beauty of our salvation, is that we had no part to play in that salvation.
Right.
Right. Jesus just saved us. There's nothing that we did in the in-between.
Yeah.
He just came and saved us. And so that's why I feel like so many people find it hard to come into the belief, because it's like, it doesn't rely on you.
Yeah.
It's so hard to accept a gift that you didn't work for.
And you know why I'm laughing? Because that's the issue that the devil had, right? Pride.
Yeah.
He just started like, nah, it's me. Like, let it come to
Do you
me.
get me? Yeah.
And now God has made this way for us to never be able to say it was me, but still enjoy all the benefits.
It's beautiful.
Hey,
Beautiful.
I never thought about it like that. That's crazy.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up, I'd say the last thing I do want to ask is to anybody that's in the working world, in the working space, that's potentially building a business right now, and they want to do it from a God-centered perspective, what advice would you give?
I think the first thing is recognizing your identity, who God has said you are. And then recognizing what he wants you to do as well. You know, we're co-laborers, right?
Yeah.
So we're his workmanship. So we're not just here just to enjoy the benefits of being a co-heir. We actually have work to do as well.
Yeah.
So when you know what that work is, like that work that you're supposed to do is, so discipling nations, preaching to everybody, fill and subdue the earth, it also actually, it directs how you build your business as well.
Come on.
Because your business is built on what? How you're executing a certain, you know, whether it's selling a product, whether it's selling a service, whether it's just providing a solution for whatever it is and not making a profit like non-profits, right? You're still geared towards designing something. And I feel like people don't take into account God's design for things as much. So then you struggle. You're like, okay, let me go search for what my identity is. Let me go search for what my business is really about. It's just like, wait. What has God said the design is first? Come on. Cool. Then you have the templates, right? So whether Solomon, all these different people, you see how they went about doing things. You see where they fell as well. You take what was good, you leave what was bad. Then you bring it to your context. Cool. Person, vehicle, assignment. You know your person. You know you've got to be maximum healthy in this way. You know your assignment. You know what God has said you got to do. How do you actually create a business? How do you exist in a market? How do you work with government? I was reading this, actually it was the same book I mentioned, Ecclesia by Edsel Vosso, and he was talking about how marketplace is the intersection between education, business, and government. So everybody kind of thinks it's like separate, right? And you've got ministry, whatever.
It's the center.
But it's like, yo, this is literally what nations are built on. So if you're discipling nations, you're actually discipling systems as well. If you're discipling systems, however you make your business, like it changes. Because now you're not just focused on, okay, money and then I'm going to fund this. It's like, okay, money, but how are we actually changing the whole system when we are introduced as a new cog?
Come on.
How are we actually implementing a structure or culture which changes how everybody else does the same business? That your business switches. So identity, know your person, know how you can be healthy, know that you're a spirit, soul, and body. Know what God says about that. Know that your soul is a medium to translate what God has already written out spiritually to physical. Then know what God says you're supposed to do. Know how he says you're supposed to do. Look at the templates. And then look at the problems around you, man. Disciple the systems.
Bro.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, man. I can't thank you enough, bro. God bless you.
I can't thank you enough, my brother.
God bless you.
Thank you, bro.
And listen, do you want to shout yourself out on social media at all?
I'm kind of shy, you know, I can't even lie. Instagram is Emmanuel.created.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is Emmanuel Niakwete. Yeah, man. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Bro, thank you so much for coming on, and God bless you. And I'm 100% certain, because I'm telling you, from when you said person, vehicle, assignment the first time, I already know I need to go home and work on something. Do you get me? I need to go home and work on something. I need a notepad.
Okay.
But thank you so much for coming on.
No problem.
And God bless you. And honestly, I pray that in where he's called you to be, you will be that light.
Right.
You will be that light. Right. And it just makes me so happy to see that you've entered a space where darkness lies. Heavy darkness lies.
Right.
And you're able to be a beacon of light in that space.
Right.
Because you've separated yourself from the other lights. You separated yourself from the greater light to go and stand where you're needed.
Right.
And so it's beautiful. Thank you so much for what you do.
That's encouraging, bro.
And God bless you and increase you, man. Thank you, bro.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate you. So, guys, listen, it's been the first episode. More's coming. Stay tuned. Thank God.